Shares of casino companies are soaring based on news that the number of casino licenses, known as concessions, handed out by the Macau government in China will remain at six. Previously, they were thinking of limiting the number of casino concessions that they were handing out based on a larger crackdown that China is having over the economy. And as a result, the stocks went down. This was around in September, but as we can see, this was like the steep drop here, went down by like 18% in one day. However, we see now that Macau basically decided it would not limit or reduce the number of concessions, it would stay at six. And so we can see this nice sharp increase over the past day. WYNN Resorts is up by 8%. And if you look at WYNN Macau, which is just based off of just the one in China, it's up by 18%. And this is just trades on the other over-the-counter markets. This is valued at close to $5 billion. And the ticker is WYNNMY if you're interested. Las Vegas Sands is also up by 13%. So this is good news because it means that the number of licenses will be the same, although they halved how long the licenses last to 10 years with a possible extension to 13 years. So I am an owner of WYNN Resorts. I have a couple of shares in my Wealthsimple and a couple of shares in my TD TFSA. And I mean, I think from a market cap of 10.5 billion, this is also a company that's in the S&P 500. You're looking at, well, okay, so WYNN Resorts owns and operates WYNN Las Vegas, so they have one place in Las Vegas. Excuse me, I do not want to do that. Encore Boston, so they have another place in Boston. WYNN Macau and WYNN Palace in Cotai. So you have 4 resorts, valued at $10 billion. I think that's like such a steal. And I mean, if you do the math, that's 2.5 billion for each place. And these are located in key regions that are, I mean, Vegas is known for, of course, gambling and casinos. And so just the property value itself, I think, makes WYNN, at least to me, like a $15 billion stock. Of course, they're losing money because of the virus that's going on. And if you're looking at the virus case, I mean, you know, it's surging. You look at worldwide, like the cases are surging because of Omicron. However, Omicron is less infectious, and I still think that the world has to open up, even though that cases are surging. Okay, now we're moving towards, there's even been arguments of removing the word pandemic and making it endemic in a population because the deaths are decreasing, and slowly there's going to be a point where infections are not increasing exponentially like we're seeing right here. And I mean, United States, they're still increasing exponentially, but it seems like if I zoom in here, we're sort of trying to hit a peak here. And I mean, there just won't be any more people to infect with Omicron because it's so infectious. And we have about 62% of the population being vaccinated, which is, I mean, obviously very, very good. So yeah, of course, it's, you know, terrible how we're seeing more infections, but again, it's the mortality rate is lower. And so I think that what we'll slowly see is travelers not being as worried about COVID and traveling to WYNN Las Vegas, WYNN Macau, etc. And that's why, you know, I'm bullish on WYNN, and that's why I own WYNN shares. I think my average cost is about $85 or something like that a share. So I'm holding it for the long term. And I just want to talk more about the concession. So shares of Las Vegas Sands and WYNN Resorts soared in pre-market trading after the Macau government provided clarity on proposed gambling law changes. So again, you have to understand that the Chinese government, they also limited the number of hours that teenagers and adolescents could play video games. So they have a hand in almost everything. For example, they also banned private tutoring companies. So there are no for-profit tutoring companies for, I think, like the major subjects such as math, sciences, etc. In elementary school, I believe. So the number of casino licenses, known as concessions, handed out by the Macau government will remain at 6, it said, but the length of those concessions will be halved at 10 years with a possible extension to 13 years. And so, like I said, it happened in September. they sold off, the casino stocks sold off sharply in September after the government launched an in-depth review of casino operations. That led investors to fear more onerous concessions, basically more like harder hit concessions, like banning, I don't know, like reducing the number of concessions or licensing agreements when they expire in June of 2022. 3 operators currently hold concessions. That's WYNN Macau, SJM Holdings, and Galaxy Entertainment. And 3 hold sub-concessions. Sands China, MGM China Holdings, and Melco Resorts. Under the proposed law changes, sub-concessions will be scrapped in favor of 6 concessions, paving the way for the 6 companies to have their licenses renewed beyond June. The much-needed clarity sparked a relief among investors despite the shorter terms of the licenses, as they had feared a much worse crackdowns. So I think that this is the start of sort of they're not hitting as many industries as hard as they did in 2021. For example, they fined Alibaba a couple $1 billion, and if we're looking, Baba is one of my main holdings, and I mean year to date, I mean thankfully they're up by about 9%. But if you're looking even at the 1-year chart, they're still down by 45% over the past year. And they also they threw an anti-monopoly probe. They axed the IPO of Ant Group, which is their financial tech arm, their fintech arm. So, I mean, you're looking at Alibaba, and it's just getting decimated largely because of what the Chinese government is doing. But what I'm trying to say is that China doesn't necessarily want to limit the amount of revenues and jobs that they can get from gambling, because that's a huge industry, especially in Macau. I mean, like, if you take away the gambling resorts, you take away, I believe, about 80% of the revenue and jobs that are provided in Macau. So Las Vegas Sands, the parent company of Sands China, was 12% higher in pre-market trading, and WYNN Resorts, we see, was close to up 10%. MGM Resorts was up by 4.5%. The government also has no plans to change the level of taxes, so this also increases the taxes for China, which is, I mean, of course they don't want to try to shut down operations because that's a major revenue source for China. So Macau's casino operators had a decent end to a tough 2021 when a report into the Macau government 45-day consultation was published, easing fears over the continuing review. And the proposed law will not now be sent to Macau's Legislative Assembly for consideration. So overall, I think this is really good news. I think what we're seeing here is a positive change in the way that China is looking, and they're sort of easing off the restrictions that they've liked doing in 2021. So hopefully this is just the start of something incredibly bullish, and we'll see a bull run for WYNN Resorts, for all the casino operators, especially as Omicron cases peak and then plateau and then decline. So that's just my bull thesis. I think that, I mean, we can also take a look at the chart here. Let's see if we can full screen the chart. But basically, I mean, like, I'm just bullish overall for, I guess the chart doesn't want to open. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I think WYNN Resorts is still a steal at $10.5 billion. Let me know if you own the stock. And please, if you enjoy the video, like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and check out the links below in the description to join the Discord. That's totally free, or support me on Patreon for my real-time buys and sells. But yeah, love you all. Peace out and take care.